Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and this is the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, the music podcast on where I interview singers and musicians from genres of black music: gospel, jazz, blues, old school classic soul, old school hip hop, today's hip hop and R&B, Caribbean, Latin, Afrobeat, Afro-Latina, blue-eyed soul, disco, go-go, line dances, and the Lost 45s. So come with me as I take you on to a trip to the destination genre of black music right now on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Legal Shield is a proud sponsor of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Have you been involved in any types of accidents? Have you been a victim of identity theft? Have you been a victim of a computer fraud scam? Have you been in disputes with your tenants or landlords? If your loved one dies and they didn't write up a will for you or for your family, or you and your spouse are filing for divorce, or if you need help by opening up your small business, give Legal Shield a try. Visit their website at LegalShield.com and tell them you heard it here on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Do it today. You'll be glad you did. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., creator and host of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Now, before I bring up my special guest, I have good news to share with you. I have a new website, and you can look for it at the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's right, folks. I have a new website called the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. If you have a computer, laptop, notebook, or if you have a desktop computer and it has either MSN or AOL, make sure you type in the name of my podcast website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. And if you have Google on your smartphone, make sure you type in the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's where you find all of my news blogs, or whatever you want to call it. That's where I tell you what's going to be on the next episode for the entire month. So please check out my website and please pass it on. Make sure you check out my website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. In the meantime, enjoy today's episode and thank you for your support. Welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and I have a special guest on my show. This gentleman that I'm about to introduce is a singer and songwriter. He's written songs for Noah Gordon and Mesa Leak and many others. His new album, Lover's Heart, I Made This Because I Was Bored, and his singles, including Glow in the Dark, and his message song, Black in America, is available right now on iTunes, and you can check out his music videos available right now on YouTube. Please help me welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience, ladies and gentlemen, singer and songwriter Marquis Green. Hey Marquis, how are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine, and you? Welcome to my show. Glad to have you here.
Glad to be here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Already, and a special shout out to Beth that I met on the Lineable, and she told me all about you. So I said, let me get this young guy here, and just to start off June for Black Music Month. So I said, you came in the perfect time. So
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Ryan.
Already. So, as always, America doesn't know who you are. The world doesn't know who you are. So, I'm very delighted to have you here on my show. So, let us begin, shall
Yes,
we?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, let's get to know you a bit. Can you tell us about your origin story? Where were you born, and what type of environment did you grow up in?
I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas. I was adopted at birth, so my parents are actually military parents. We traveled around the country. We've been, well, the earliest memories I have are maybe like Germany, and then coming back to, I guess you call it stateside, but like Hawaii, and then branching into the actual states. But yeah, just I would say that my upbringing was the typical military brat, just moving around, having to reintroduce yourself to everybody over and over again until we found some place that we settled down and called home. And that ended up being Huntsville, Alabama. My parents were yin and yang to each other, so if one was nice, the other one was a little bit more strict, I'll say. But everything was dress right, dress, and here we are.
Okay, well, first of all, we thank them for their service and
Yes,
we
sir.
thank them for protecting us. Now, which high school did you go to?
I went to New Century Technology High School. It was like a demo high school. Back in the day, you had to be interviewed and go through an interview process in order to get in because I feel like I was pretty computer savvy. Technology kind of comes a little easier to me. So for those reasons, I was pretty much chosen. And then I did absolutely nothing with it. I completely went the opposite way and wanted to be more artistic.
And which college did you go to and what was your major in college?
So I went to Calhoun Community College for a little while. My major was music business communications. Such a tongue twister. Um, but no, that was my major. I did not finish college. I ended up becoming a father, and everything else kind of seemed to take a step in the back while I focused on what I needed to take care of.
Okay. Now, when you were young, who did you want to be when you grow
Oh, this is easy. Michael Jackson.
up?
Yes, that was he was the whole reason I wanted to start in the whole music industry in the first place, dancing, singing, all of it.
Okay. Al, how old were you when you started singing and writing songs?
Ooh, um, I would say I was probably about 14, 15 when I started singing, if you will. As far as writing goes, I always was a fan of poetry, and so I actually started as somebody who just liked to write poems. I was the shy kid, so that's how I would communicate to a girl that I like. I would just write her something and see if she smiles, and if she does, then cool, I might be in there, and if she doesn't, then back to the drawing board. And I would say probably right around 16, 15, 16ish is when I started trying to vocalize and put some melody behind some of the words, and people started to take to it. So
Now that you're a singer and songwriter, was that your calling?
I do feel like it is. I feel like I still have a lot more to learn about myself as a creative. Um, I know that probably one of the best compliments I think I've ever gotten was back in 2013 from somebody that I still call like my other mom. But she pulled me to the side and just told me that your music is ministry, and something about that, it just kind of solidified how I've always interpreted music. Um, it can set the tone for your day and for your life. So if somebody can touch you in that kind of way, then you must be doing something.
Okay. Now, growing up, who were some of your favorite singers?
Well, we're going to start with Michael Jackson, because first and foremost, and then I have a poster in my studio where it is all of my inspiration. So I'm just going to name them as I put them in order.
Okay.
It's Marvin Gaye,
Uh
Sam
huh.
Cooke,
Uh huh.
James Brown,
Uh huh.
Al Green,
Uh huh.
Michael Jackson's in the middle, of course.
Okay.
Luther Vandross,
Mm-hmm.
Stevie Wonder,
Uh
Teddy
huh.
Pendergrass, and Prince. And Prince was
Okay.
like later on in life. I really, growing up, it was either Michael or Prince, and I went Michael. And then as I got older, I started to have more of an appreciation for what Prince did.
Now, who were your musical influences that had inspired you to sing?
I would say I started with Michael, and then just riding around with my parents a lot of the times when we would travel. Um, I became, more enamored with like Tina Turner, The Temptations, most of Motown. Smokey Robinson was a big somebody who was played a lot in our vehicle, and then my parents shocked me because they put on like Zap Rogers, and I would be like, "Oh, you guys listen to this? This is cool." And so yeah. Just being exposed to those type of artists at a young age, I think that really did influence me. It made me not only just listen to how cool the music was, but it was also I had an appreciation for lyrics, and there's a storytelling, and I think that's what drew me to songwriting or poetry, whichever one you want to kind of. It probably is all encompassing, but yeah. So it's just all of those.
Wow. You know, at a younger age like me, I was exposed to all black music. You mentioned Michael and Stevie Wonder and Marvin. It all started at Motown
Yes, sir.
back in the days. And then at Atlantic Records, you had Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, and you had Roberta Flack. And then in jazz, you had Herbie Mann and John Coltrane.
Yes, sir.
And then when Stax Records came along, that you had Sam and Dave, Otis Redding,
Otis Redding, yeah.
and the Staple Singers, and Luther Ingram, and yes, Isaac Hayes, who
Yes.
always he'd be known for his eucharistic artistic raps or talking, and segue into the song. He's best known for doing cover versions of someone else's songs, but he would take a song, strip it, and stretched it as far as wise the eye can see. He would take a 3 minute song and turn it into either 10 or 12 or 18 minutes.
That's
And yes, it was a long way. When my late grandfather had the Isaac Hayes movement, I was exposed to it. I looked at the songs, it was 4 songs too long. So that was like I was getting used to these everything.
oh
So
yeah.
I'm with you, my brother. I've been exposed to everything, and not only that, gospel music,
Yes, sir.
jazz, and also there was some blue-eyed soul.
Oh yeah.
And then by the later '70s, I was introduced to some Caribbean music. You know, everyone from Bob Marley
Oh,
and
okay, yeah.
the Mighty Sparrow, and just to name a few, those two things, and Latin music too. So I dipped into some every genre of black music that I can find. Because how do I know? I've been dropped off by every babysitter. that's how I got my upbringing. You from?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, how would you describe your sound?
My sound. My sound, I feel like it might be changing soon, but for years now, on my Facebook page, I don't even know if it's a fake picture, to be honest with you. It could be AI from, I don't know, however many years ago, but it's a picture of Marvin Gaye and Michael Jackson like together, and they're just talking. But something about that resonated with me. It was like I feel like I have the tone of of a Michael Jackson esque artist, and then in terms of my writing and my song structure, I lean more towards like the soulful balladeer, if you will, of Marvin Gaye. So it's like just a happy medium. I think that's what I would say. If you challenge me to find some younger artists, some newer artists, I probably have a tougher time. But yes, I think that's where I resonate.
Okay. I was reading something in your bio, and it says, and I quote, "My journey hasn't been easy, but it's been purposeful. Personal tragedy pushed me from fear into expression and turned music into both my refuge and my mission." Please share with our audience on what your quote means in your own words.
So Oddly enough, I had said something about this yesterday, and most of the pushes that I've needed in life, to that things that would motivate you to go out and do, because a lot of us will sit and we'll plan and we'll say, oh, I'm going to be dreaming about this, and I want to do this when I get older. I want to do this in the future. And you'll get stuck in this planning loop where you're not executing. And so when I was young, I wanted to perform. I wanted to be on stage and try it, because I've been writing songs for I don't know how long, and they were all in my room. I was recording on the crappiest microphone I had. And then in 2006, my brother was killed. He was a rapper in Arkansas with my biological family, but he was killed. And yeah, I always admired that he could just get up and do it, like almost like there was no fear. And so that later on that year, after I kind of went through somewhat of a depression, I ended up signing up for the talent show. It was the biggest thing I'd ever done at that time in front of anybody, because when I say I was shy, I was extremely shy. I didn't like talking in front of big crowds. I still don't, but I will. But it's something about it, though. It was the energy, the vibe of just being up there and giving it my all. It felt right. And so, and I didn't win, and that was a big thing for me. I did not win. Um, the following year, I did it again, and then I won. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And winning felt just as good as just getting up there. So it was like there's that parallel between that. Then, and I'm just fast forwarding, but I did my very first studio album, Pulse, and that's available on all DSPs. But when I was in the process of releasing it and planning the album release concert, we had been deciding if we were going to tour it or not. My mom, my adopted mom, she was in the hospital. She undergone some surgery and ended up in a coma and on life support. And she did pull through from that, but at the height of what I thought was my starting point, I didn't have the energy for it. I didn't have the motivation, the drive to do it, because I was fearful. And then you fast forward 7 more years. I actually lost my mom last year, May 9th. And so a year ago, we had a discussion. At my job, my day job, they had this leadership program that they were offering us, and it takes up a lot of your time, a few months, but it's a program. It's like school. And so I remember talking to her, and she was like, "Well, if you're going to do this, this is going to take away from your music. So you make sure if you do it, you're not doing your album, because it's almost done, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, mom. I'm gonna get to it. I promise." And then she eventually passed. And she passed right before I got the acceptance into the class. And so I had to power through that, um, power through recording the rest of my project, because then it became that's the motivation, unfortunately, that I had. That was what was pushing me to finish this project, which is also why the project comes out on the 8th, and then we do a release concert on the 9th, here in Huntsville, Alabama. But it's more so to put something more positive, a more positive spin on that day. This is a celebration for many reasons. The new album is called Round Two, and we'll talk about that whenever. But I just, long way of saying, just a lot of the positives that I feel like I can offer. Unfortunately, I feel like they it's the yin and yang of life. It's not always going to be great, but you can make something out of it, and that's my choice. That thing. So
Yes. Well, first of all, my condolences goes out to you in the loss of your brother and the loss of your biological mother and your adopted mother. Got that correct?
just my adopted mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, let's go on a happier note. You have written songs for other artists, including Neil Gordon and Mesa Lee. We all know her as Mesa from the group Incognito. What was it like writing songs for those two artists that I just mentioned?
So I'll say that I have I would say maybe it's on 10, maybe 15 year writing relationship with Noel. And so just me and him, like when I first met him as I guess you'd say a novice songwriter, novice singer, I give him all the credit in the world. He looked at me and was like, "Hey, if you're gonna do this, there's a way to do it." Like he helped me develop my writing style. And so as soon as I think that he felt comfortable with what I was able to offer, that's when he brought me into the fold. And just through working with him, I've met several different producers. Um, I've written more songs than I thought I would by this time in life. And he basically connected me with just a network of writers, producers that, and it's weird. It's a community, and so once one person says like, "Hey, so and so wrote this," they're like, "Oh, well, what's so and so's number?" And let's see if he can do something for us, that kind of thing. Um, so I really haven't had the let me write this song and try to shop it to an artist. I haven't had uh, that type of, I don't know, path, but I'm not opposed to it. Like I don't think I'm above like they need to come to me. Like no, that's cool. I'll go wherever you guys need me to be, and hopefully we can make something work. But it was definitely an honor. I want to say just working with Noel, working with Mesa. There's some producers out in like California, in New York, managers that I don't even know if I ever would have got the opportunity to speak to, had God not placed certain people in my life. So I'm always going to be thankful and try to make sure I bring that up when I can.
Okay. Now, let's talk about your albums. I got a chance to check them out when I was looking at your bio and some of the other stuff or the videos on YouTube. We're going to talk about the videos on YouTube in a minute.
Yes, sir.
But let's talk about your albums, including Lover's Heart and I Made This Because I Was Bored.
Yes.
Please share with our audience on what those two albums are about.
Mm, okay. So, in order to get into Lover's Heart, I gotta go back a little bit. My first project was called Find Your Heart. That was put out in 2013, and I'm a lover at heart. Michael Jackson would say, "I'm a lover, not a fighter." Um, and I guess I took that to heart, and so I did that project, and then I want to say 2 years had passed, and a lot of people, every time that I would go out, people would say like, "Marquise, do you have any new music? Where's the new stuff? Are you working on anything new?" And so I was like, okay, well, you know what? If you guys really want to hear some new stuff, I suppose I could start writing. And I did Lover's Heart. And so Lover's Heart was just a free mixtape that I had put out on Dat Piff at the time. I don't even know if that website is still around, but I put that out on Dat Piff on YouTube, and radio started picking it up. Certain songs from it, most notably, was "Forgot About Love." That was my favorite song at the time. But it just, for me, it was something about love. Like all of my music, I think, has a through line. Um, I really gravitate to relationship music, just any type of love. Love just has so many different variations, and that story is for it's universal. So if you can tap into it, I think anybody could really relate. And so I did Find Your Heart, Lover's Heart, and then eventually my album Pulse. And so I call that like my heart trilogy. It was just everything was around the heart and love. Then you fast forward to I Made This Because I Was Bored. So my oldest son graduated high school 2 years ago now, and we flew up to Boston and attended his graduation. It was great. And then, yeah, and so we're there right after the graduation. It's like, let's go out and grab something to eat. We did that. Let's go bowling. We went to the bowling alley. Freak accident. I break and sprain my ankle. And so we were stuck in Boston for like a month. I had to have surgery, couldn't get on the flight. And so I was just there, bored. And so I started writing. Now I wrote this entire project, just bored. And then when I got back to Alabama, I ended up just coming into my studio one day. I recorded all the songs on it. And then I just put it out because, it applied. But yeah, so that's the story behind those two. And then, like I said, I've been working on my second album for a little while, and just kind of focused, like laser focused in probably June, July of last year, and just went ahead and finished everything for it to be released this year.
Okay. Now, I got a chance to check out your music videos, including Treat Me Like a Man, Prove Them Wrong, and My Vow. Please share with our audience on what the music videos and the songs are about.
Oh goodness. Okay. Well, all three of those are on the album Pulse. So if anybody wants to check it out, feel free. Let me look at my. All right. So, "Treat Me Like a Man" is one of my favorite songs to perform because it kind of garners crowd participation. So I'll start it with, when I say "treat me like a," y'all say "man," and they'll treat me like "man," and so it's a fun song to perform. But I don't, because I don't want to tell a bad story. So what I'll say is, with "Treat Me Like a Man" is just identifying that, yes, I'm imperfect. As a man, I'm imperfect. And as a woman, you can be imperfect too, or as a partner, you can be imperfect too. And nothing's wrong with that. But if you're going to forgive me fully. Don't forgive me and then minimize my position in our relationship. So a lot of the times I feel like we can mess up as individuals, and then our partner and whatever situation can hold that over your head. They can make you feel as if, you're not being given an honest shot. And so that's where "Treat Me Like a Man" pretty much came from. It's just kind of standing your ground, saying, look, if you want this to work between us, I'm going to treat you with respect, but still treat me with respect. That's what it really means. That's overall. "Prove 'em Wrong" is just, in my opinion, "Prove 'em Wrong" is just a love letter saying that me and the female, I love you, you love me. The world might not think we're going to work. They might be betting against us, and we're going to prove them wrong, whether that be intentionally or unintentionally. We're just going to make this work because that's, it's our decision. And then "My Vow." My vow is kind of going back to the "Treat Me Like a Man" storyline, but just saying, I've made my mistakes, and you may feel whatever kind of your feelings are valid, but I promise I'm not going to do that anymore. I promise I'm trying my hardest to make this work. So give me another chance. It's a begging song, but nobody begs as well as like Keith Sweat. So, but he's somebody to study, and so that's kind of where that song came from, essentially.
Okay. Now, I got a chance to check out your message song called Black in America. Please share with our audience on what that song is about.
Black in America, uh, that was at a time where, the Black Lives Matter movement was going on. You had all the signs and the people that were on different sides of the "I can't breathe" situation. And I don't necessarily want to glaze over it. I just also don't want to give any false information or anything of that nature. But as a black man, it made me feel um, weak. It made me feel as if I didn't have a voice. And when all of this stuff was going on, it was like, well, what can I do? Yeah, you can go out and protest and march and whatnot, but as with most of the stuff, unfortunately, we'll go and start the protest and the march, and then the next shiny thing comes up, and I feel like we kind of forget what we're doing it for, or it's something. I just feel like our messages get lost in translation, and at a time where I felt pretty hopeless or helpless, that's where inspiration came, and it wasn't necessarily the most positive, but it was still something that I felt I felt driven to do. And in that song, I called a few people, including my mom. I recorded her voice, so it's she'll always be there. But just asking, pardon me, just asking, what does it feel like to be Black in America? And the answers that I got were emotional for me. A lot of them just saying like we have to be stronger and wiser and smarter than the next person, and we have to be more cautious than anything. And then being that I am a father, I have kids, I have Black sons, I have a daughter, knowing that their lives are affected by this, whether they realize it or not, being more cautious because when I was growing up, I don't remember seeing as much violence, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't there. I just think right now we have social media, we have all this access to it, and it's like plastered everywhere. As opposed to back then, you might have heard a story about something. Even when I was younger, I might have heard a story about something, but there's no way somebody would do X, Y, and Z. And then now that I'm an adult, I'm looking at news and it's like, oh, there's X, Y, and Z. And then they start the alphabet over, A, B, C, and it's just it when I did Black in America, it just felt like something I needed to put out, and I didn't really care um, what kind of, I don't know, negative comment I would get back, which I got some. I,
Mhm.
I got some from. I'm not even gonna say it's odd, but it was just people who would rather see the world one way instead of being open to the idea that our experiences are exactly as we detail them. Just because you grew up in a neighborhood where everybody was kumbaya and everything else doesn't mean somebody else did. And so, yeah, it's a long way of saying I just felt very driven to do that and put that out, um, just to get that message across to people.
Okay, and like I said, I got a chance to tune in and listen to it, because as a church deacon myself and cousin of two famous ones that made America great, they put their lives on the line to make sure that we, as African Americans, will try to do something for the better. And I was just looking at that and I said, we needed that song in these troubled times that we are living in right now.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now, are you going to be doing any collaborations with any artists on their albums soon?
There's a few, um, mostly mostly local. I think. Right now, my focus has been really community based. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like the last few shows that I've done, I've had a bigger, um, I don't know, people inquiring like, "How can I work with you?" Or "What could we do? Do you think we could do a song together?" And the thing is, like, I'm super approachable. I'm not Hollywood. I'm the guy next door. Just, hey, if you want to do something, just run it by me. Let's see if it makes sense. And 9 times out of 10, even if it doesn't, I'll find a way to make it. So it's just, I love the creative process. I love the idea of us just making something new. And where I feel like I'm thriving right now is just pouring back into my community. So yes, I do plan on doing more music with artists, but really that's anybody who's ready to do anything. Like, just hit me up. I'm cool.
Now, here's a question that I always ask my guests: living or dead, which artists you wish you wanted to meet or to perform with?
Hmm. The easy one would be Michael. The other easy one might have been Marvin. I maybe maybe Teddy Pendergrass. Um, because I do have a respect for his voice.
Mm-hmm.
But the later in life challenges that he ran into, I
Mm-hmm.
think that I would have liked to sit down and understand, like, how do you push yourself through, what you've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
With, Michael, it seems like all the allegations and everything else could have stopped him, but it didn't because they're, I'm going to believe they're not true. And so when you're operating from a space where you have your truth and you know what the truth is, nothing else really matters as long as you're doing what you're called for. With Marvin, his dad situation, I don't, but something about Teddy Pendergrass being able to go through the accident and then being paralyzed and still finding a way to live. I think something about that is meaningful to me. So yeah, I just didn't want to give an easy answer like, well, Michael Jackson made me do moonwalks, teach me how to dance a little bit better.
Yes. Now, here on the Black Soul Music Experience, I always ask my guests who are the top 10 R&B black artists of all time. So, since I have you, we're going to be doing the Black Soul Music Experience, the Black Soul Music Experience top 10 classic soul and today's R&B artists of all time. Now, here's how it works.
Okay.
We do it like a top 10 countdown, like the show America's Top 10, hosted by the late Casey Kasem. We will start at the bottom five and we will find out who were some of the best singers, but didn't get any recognition. In
Ooh.
other words, they were on their major record labels, but their albums didn't get marketed or promoted like they should. When we get to the top five, we're going to find out who was the biggest million selling artist of all time. Did that artist receive some albums that went gold or platinum or double platinum or triple platinum or today's diamond platinum? Did that artist receive any top 10 number one hits? Did that artist won a Grammy or an American Music Award or a BET Award or a Soul Train Award or an MTV VMA Award? Did that artist got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Did that artist performed on American Bandstand, Soul Train, The Midnight Special, or NBC Saturday Night Live, or Solid Gold? Or did they had their music video, which was either aired on BET or MTV or VH1? Or did they had their own primetime special, whether it was aired on CBS or NBC or ABC? Or did they had their special on PBS, whether it was great performances or whether they had some other guests, or that they had their own special airing in March during Pledge Month? Or did they had that live concert special, whether it's either aired live on HBO or Showtime? So, Marquis, are you ready to take this challenge?
I'm gonna have to pull up a list of people, but uh,
Okay. And if you get stuck, I'll fill you in.
okay.
All right, so we're starting at the bottom five. Who should be at number 10?
At number 10. Oh, you name so many categories of people. I'm like, I don't want to. Is this a personalized list or this is like you have the data?
Well, like I said, if you get stuck with one, I'll fill you in because we're
Okay.
starting at the bottom 10. In other words, we're starting at the singers that didn't get that much recognition when their hits become hits, but, didn't get that recognition.
Jackie Wilson.
Okay, let's put Jackie Wilson, number 10. We'll
Yeah.
start him off. Coming out of Detroit, Michigan, he's best known for his Ballads to Be Loved, and that was written by Mr. Berry Gordy Jr.
Mm.
And during the 60s, he had some other hits, including Whispers Getting Louder and Your Love Keeps Lifting Me Higher. And he kept on performing until he had that heart attack back in the fall of 1975, and then fell into a coma and didn't recover until he passed away back in February or March of 1984. But he'll be best remembered for some of his other tunes, including Lonely Teardrops and some of his other tunes. So rest in peace to the one and only Mr. Jackie Wilson. And yes, we are not related.
Oh, I'm just checking. Okay. Oh man, you pulled that just from memory?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
this okay. Okay, I see. um,
we're
let's
up to number 9.
number 9. Ooh. Um, See, the thing is, because I feel like the songs are popular now to me, but I don't know the impact that they had when they first came out, you know? So where I would go maybe like a Tyrone Davis, um, but
Okay, we can put Tyrone Davis at number 9. So he started out well, but not get much recognition. He came on the scene back in 1969 with his original version of "Can I Change My Mind," and I know that song has been redone by so many
yeah,
artists. So he was there in 1969, and his other song, "If I Can Turn Back the Hands of
I love
Time,"
that
back
song.
in 1970. And then he had some other songs, including "Turning Point" and his other song, "In the Mood." So, like I said, he had a few hits, but didn't get that much recognition. He was on a major record label. He was on the Dakar label and then Atlantic, and then moved over to Columbia CBS. And didn't get that much recognition, so he went independent. He was on many independent record labels, even though he did that much um, hit stardom or anything like that. So we'll put Tyrone Davis at number 9.
Okay.
Oh, who should be at number 8?
This is a challenge. I'm could I go Betty Wright?
Ah, yes, Miss B, Betty Wright, coming out of Miami, Florida. She came on the scene back in the late 60s at the age of 17, and she'll be best remembered for a couple of her hits back in the 70s, including Clean Up Woman,
Mm,
and yes, everyone's favorite song, Tonight is the Night.
yeah.
You had the studio version and the live version, because every time when I go to these after work parties on Friday night, the DJ will play the live version, the 8-minute
Oh
version.
yeah, you got to.
And she had some other songs, including The Babysitter and Where is the Love You Promised Me. She won a Grammy Award for that song.
Oh wow.
During the 80s, she was known for her other tunes, including No Pain, No Gain.
Yeah.
That was one of the best ones, the best radio airplays ever. So yes, and yeah, she appeared with some other guests. Like for example, she had appeared with Peter Brown's "Dance with Me." That was back in 1978, and of course, "Coming Out of the Dark" with Gloria Estefan.
Mm.
So that was one of the best tunes ever. So rest in peace to Miss B, Betty Wright, and we'll put her at number 8. All right, who should be at number 7?
Goodness. Hmm. Well, it doesn't have to be a solo artist, does it?
No, we can mix it up.
Okay. Uh, I kind of want to move, not necessarily current, but the Four Tops. Yeah, I would say the Four Tops because I kind of want to bring it towards where I see it going.
Okay, we'll put the Four Tops at number 7. They started out with Motown from its inception. They had some hits during the 60s with Baby, I Need Your Lovin'. And then they had those other ones, including Sugar Pie, Honey Bunch, and then Shake Me When It's Over. They had some other tunes, including Just As the Lonely, all tunes, all everything on Motown from the 60s all the way up until by the time they left Motown in the 70s, their last one was Still Waters Run Deep. And then by 1972, they switched over to ABC and they had their top 10 hit, Ain't No Woman Like the One I Got.
Love that
And
song.
then other ones, including Are You Man Enough from the movie Shaft in Africa. And then other songs, including Catfish in 1976. And then by 1981, they switched over to Casablanca Record and Film Works with their LP called Tonight. They had their number one hit when she was My Girl, top 10 hit back in August of 1981. And their other one in 1982, I Believe in You and Me. That was their top 10 hit. And they still performing, got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the class of 1989. Rest in peace to all of the members, including Levi Stubbs, Obie, Lawrence Payton, and Duke.
Mm.
Yep, the four tops. So we'll put the four tops at number 7. Who should be at number 6?
At number 6, I'm gonna say Otis Redding.
Ah, yes, Otis Redding. He's best known for one of his tunes during the 60s when he was on the Stax label. He is best known for writing the song Respect, although it didn't become a hit for him,
Yeah.
but it became a hit later for Miss Aretha Franklin. So he had some other tunes during
Try
the
a little,
60s,
try a
including
little
Try a
tenderness.
Little Tenderness
Oh, that one.
and other ones. But he'll be best remembered for his number one hit, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. And that was his first and only number one hit. That song came out right after he was killed in that plane crash in
Yeah.
December 1967. It was number one on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts back in March of 1968, and also number one on Billboard's Soul Singles charts. It won him a Grammy Award for Best R&B Vocal Performance. So rest in peace to the one only Otis Redding.
That's
All
what I
right,
mean. I'm
all
sorry.
right.
But that's what
We're
I
up to
mean.
number 5. We're going to the top 5 now.
Okay. Okay. Well, now I get into what I okay. So I'm gonna say Teddy Pendergrass, number 5.
Alrighty. Teddy Pendergrass, TP, started out with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes
Yes,
back
sir.
in 1972, but before that, he was a drummer for the group. When Harold Melvin heard his voice, he said, like, we're going to put you in the group. So there since 1972. The only thing that I didn't know that he was a lead singer for Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. I thought it was the other way around.
Oh,
So when I was at my friend's house, they were singing this song, If You Don't Know Me By Now, top 10 hit on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts, and it was number one on Billboard's Soul Singles charts back in November 1972. And like I said, I didn't know that was Teddy P being the lead singer
oh yeah.
for the group. So all the way from 1972 until he left the group in late 1976, went solo. His first solo LP, his self-titled debut LP, had hits including You Can't Hide From Yourself, I Don't Love You Anymore, The Whole Town's Laughing at Me, The More I Get, The More I Want. Solo LP went gold and sold over 1,000 copies in print. His follow-up LP, Life is a Song Worth Singing, that had Closed the Door, When Somebody Loves You Back,
My song.
and Get Up, Get Funky, Get Loose. His number one song, Close the Door, was number one on Billboard's Soul Singles charts back in 1978. He had some other ones, including Turn Off the Lights, and 1980 he had his LP TP. He had two hits, including Love TKO his follow up, Can't We Try, and duets with Stephanie Mills,
Mm,
including their remake of Field of Fire. And Teddy Pendergrass kept on performing until he had that accident back
yeah.
in March of 1982. And yes, he kept on performing until he passed away back in 2010. So rest in peace to the one and only Teddy Pendergrass at number 5.
Yes, sir.
Who should be at number 4?
This is where it gets tricky. Because this is more of a personalized list at this point. um, I'm gonna put Tina Turner for me.
The queen of rock and soul, Tina Turner. She'll be best known for her ex,
Yeah,
Ike Turner. So they're known for their hits. But when I was listening to that song called Proud Mary, when you get to the beginning of the song, they do it their way. It's like, for example, we're going to do it nice and easy. And then we get to the end of the song, we're going to make it rough. So that would be best remembered for that song. And other hits, including Nutbush, City Limits, and just to name a few. So when Ike and Tina filed for divorce, Tina Turner went solo and didn't get that much hits. But in 1984, her LP Private Dancer was an instant smash hit. She did the remake of Al Green's Let's Stay Together. And then by the summer of 1984, her only number one song, What's Love Got to Do with It? Number one on Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts back in September 1984 for 3 weeks. And she won an American Music Award. She won a Grammy Award for that song. And other albums have followed. She had songs including Simply the Best and Typical Male, just to name a few. She kept on performing until we lost her a couple of years ago, but she got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice.
yeah.
One with her then husband Ike, and then solo back in 2021. So rest in peace to the queen of rock and soul, Miss Tina Turner. She's best known for doing happy song. She doesn't want to do no sad old bluesy song. So that's what she'd be best known for that.
Yes,
So
sir.
we're gonna put the late Tina Turner at number 4.
Okay.
Who should be at number 3?
All right. So, once again, this is a preference, but Sam Cooke.
The one and only Sam Cooke came on the scene when he started out in gospel, when he was with the Soul Stirrers, and then by the early 60s, he had a string of hits, including You Send Me and also Cupid and his message song, A Change Is Gonna Come. And then he had some other tunes, including Having a Party, which later had a remake for Luther Vandross. And the only thing that I didn't know, he had his own record company called SAR. That's SAR.
I didn't know.
That I didn't know. And he's best known for bringing in artists and everything. That's the other side that we didn't know about.
Yeah. Mm,
Only thing I knew that he started out with the gospel group, the Soul Stirrers, and then went on his own with some of the top 10 hits. So
he brought
rest
in
in
Bobby
peace.
Womack, right?
Yes,
That's yeah.
Bobby Womack was in that group too. Yes, so rest in peace to Mr. Sam Cooke at number 3. Who should be at number 2?
I'm gonna be different. Michael Jackson.
Ah, yes, the king of pop, Michael Jackson, came on the scene back in 1969 with his brothers Marlon, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, and they had a string of hits. Their debut song was I Want You Back from their debut LP called Diana Ross Presents the Jackson 5 on the Motown label. They had other hits, including Who's Loving You, and then the 70s came in with other songs, including ABC and other tunes, including Got to Be There. He did some solo LPs as well. He did other ones, including Ben, that was from the movie, the
Yeah.
sequel to the movie Willard, and Just a Little Bit of You. And in between, they were doing other songs, and they'll be best remembered for performing at the MGM Grand Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. So that's when they brought in their sisters with them.
Mhm.
So that gave them a lot of exposure. So after they've left Motown Records in 1975 and Jermaine didn't go, so they took Randy with them. They switched over to CBS Records and they had their self titled debut LP. They were known as the Jacksons. But at the same time, they had their own summer variety show on CBS. They had their songs, including Enjoy Yourself, Let Me Show You the Way to Go, and then got a little discotheque now with Shake Your Body Now Down to the Ground. And then when Michael did some solo LPs, Off the Wall, that's the first album teamed up with Quincy Jones. He had hits including Off the Wall, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, and She's Out of My Life, just to name a few. Then the second solo LP, Thriller, million seller. 1982 started off with You Want to Be Starving Something, then followed by Thriller and The Girl Is Mine with the guest Paul McCartney. Billie Jean,
Yeah.
number one, back in April 1983 on Billboard's R&B Black Singles Charts, number one for 10 weeks. And then when I saw him perform on the Motown's 25th anniversary special on NBC back in May 1983, he did a song, he did the moonwalk, everything. I see his sparkle glove, the sparkle socks, the loafers, everything. Everyone in the audience were like passing out. They couldn't
Yeah.
believe it and everything.
Start
And
going.
his other solo LP, Bad, in 1987, he had tunes including Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, and Man in the Mirror. And his other one, including Dangerous, which was produced by different producers, including Teddy Riley and others, had a song called Black and White. Do You Remember the Time? And his final solo LP was This Is It. That was the concert movie.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, Michael done it all. He sings and dances everything. And you know who was influences were? The late James Brown.
Yep.
That's where he got his influence from. So everything turns to gold. He won Grammys. He won an American Music Award. He got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice with his brothers in 1997 and then again solo 2001. So rest in peace to the king of pop, Michael Jackson, at number two.
Yes, sir.
All right, who should be at number one?
Um, so yeah, that's why I had it's different for me, but I'm gonna put Marvin today. Marvin Gaye, number one.
Yes, Marvin Gaye representing Washington, D.C., made a scene back in the early 60s when he was on Motown Records with his song called Stubborn Kind of Fellow. But before that, he was doing some mellow songs, and his influence was the late Nat King Cole and the late Frank Sinatra. But then when Berry Gordy said, let's creep it up a bit, we don't want to hear those mellow songs, we want to have some hit danceable tunes. So he had some hits, including How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You, Ain't That Peculiar. He'll be best known for duets with the late Tammy Terrell with Ain't No Mountain High Enough and everything. But then by 1971, everything changed. His major breakout album, What's Going On, that came out in 1971. When his song came out in March of 1971, the song was on Billboard Soul Singles Charts for 5 weeks. Number one hit. Song went gold, and there's other songs including Mercy, Mercy Me, The Ecology, and Inner City Blues. This was a concept album. He was talking about everything from the war in Vietnam to what's happening in the Black community to the environment, climate change. So Marvin said what he said during the test of time, what is related back in 1971, it is still related today. And he had some other tunes, including Trouble Man from the movie Trouble Man. He had his own soundtrack album. His number one hit, "Let's Get It On," number one on Billboard's R&B Soul Singles Charts and the Hot 100 Pop Singles Charts in 1973. He had a live album followed that, and his other one in 1976, "I Want You," top 10 hits, and he had live at the London Palladium, number one hit, "Got to Give It Up."
Yeah.
And then after that, he left Motown and went to CBS Records with his final LP, "Midnight Love," with his number one hit, "Sexual Healing," number one on Billboard's R&B Black Singles Charts back in December 1982 for 10 weeks. And he won an American Music Award, and later he won a Grammy. And this will be his first and his last album until he was shot and killed by his father in 1984 on the eve of his 45th birthday. So he got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the class of 1987. So rest in peace to the great Marvin Gaye at number one. So there we have our top 10 classic soul and today's R&B artists of all time. So we did good.
We made it. It's a little messy,
Yes.
but we made it.
Yes. Now, before we wrap things up, we talked everything about your music and everything and your influences is. So when we listen to your albums and people will look at you, what would you like to be remembered as?
Um, I want to be remembered as somebody that pushed love as the agenda. Just being intentional. And so with intention, I think that the world has so much negativity in it already that pushing love should be easy. It is easy. So I want people to listen to my music and feel the love that I have for it. Find the love and even the saddest songs that I can write, because that is just another layer of love. Things can't affect you unless you allow them to. But even somebody who could say they hate something, it's a confused love. That's how I look at it. So yeah.
Yep. In the words of the late John Lennon, all we need is love. Love is all we need. Well, Marquise, thank you so much for being here on the Black Soul Music
Yes, sir.
Experience
Thank you for having me.
podcast. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and continued success on everything that you're doing. And you're welcome to come on back if any more projects coming up.
Yes,
And
sir.
speaking of that, where can we follow you on social media, and give us a quick plug on any future projects coming up?
All right. On social media, on Facebook, it's just Marquis Green. On Instagram, on TikTok, and I believe on YouTube, it's the Marquis Green, MarquisGreen. But the easiest way to get to any of my stuff would be my website, marquisgreen.com. You can find my music, my merch, any shows that I have lined up. And I'm going to start updating that a lot more regularly now. So I'll be more active.
Okay. Download all the artists that we have talked about on this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Visit iTunes.com, Spotify.com, or purchase a CD at Amazon.com. And make sure you follow Marquis Green. Make sure you check out his website at marquisgreen.com. Follow him on Facebook at Marquis Green. Follow him on Instagram at the Marcus Green. And you can check out all of his songs right now on Apple Music, Amazon Music, and his music videos available right now on YouTube. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know more about my podcast, please visit my website at theblacksoulmusicexperience.com. And if you want to check out this episode, Please subscribe to the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Look for me on these 5 platforms. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast. And the link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s. Don't forget to add the S to the end, -studio. And I will be posting this episode on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you have a hard time getting on to riverside.fm, then please become a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast number 6. If you have a computer and your email address, put in your password, go visit the Patreon homepage where you check out all of the Patreon shows done by different creators. And make sure you go to the search box and type in the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast 6, where you can check out all of my audio and video podcast episodes and video podcast clips that you may have missed. And if you have a hard time getting on the Patreon, then I will be posting this episode on YouTube. Please visit my YouTube channel. Visit youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience. If you like this episode, if you love my podcast, please subscribe, please support, please give me a thumbs up, please leave a comment, and please pass it on. Thank you for joining me as I close out this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience.
Well, that's about it for this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. I'm Sam Wilson Jr. Thank you for joining me, and please tune in next week for an all-new episode. The Black Soul Music Experience podcast is sponsored by the support of listeners and viewers like you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Look for my podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast. And don't forget the link. The link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s-studio. And don't forget to check out my audio and video podcast episodes by becoming a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And please check out my video podcast episodes by subscribing to youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. And please leave your comments, feedbacks, and replies by going to my Facebook homepage. Go to facebook.com/the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. You can also tweet me on X, aka Twitter, at Sam Wilson Jr. 66. And follow me on Instagram at SAMM.Y2980. As always, partying, remember this. Reach for the top and your dreams will come true, and it can happen to you. From all of us, take care. God bless. Thanks for listening. Have a good week, and please be safe.